Cannonier keeps the gate. Yusuf was elusive and is the GOAT of our sport crashing out? All that and more on tonight's episode. This is Fighting Tonight. Welcome back to Fighting Tonight. I'm your host, TeeBallPaul. And UFC Fight Night Cannonier versus Rodrigues just wrapped up. Not gonna lie, a pretty decent fight card for only having 3 ranked fighters on it. But in the main event, Jared Cannonier weathered an early storm from RoboCop Rodrigues, finishing the 44th the surging contender in the 4th round. The fight was relatively even until Cannonier landed an elbow that knocked down and split open RoboCop at the end of the 3rd. For all intents and purposes, the fight was over right then and there, but RoboCop did wobble off his stool out to the 4th round, where he was pretty much a zombie and wilted to the first combination Cannonier threw. In the co-main event, we saw a defensive masterclass from the streaking Youssef Zalal. I thought it was beautiful, but a lot of people thought it was boring. Zalal ran backwards the entire fight, evading all of Kattar's power shots, frustrating the veteran in the process. But Zalal was awarded a 29-28 and will most likely be ranked next week. But the 2 surprises of the card were Edmund Shabazian and Jose Delgado. Shabazian showed glimpses of the past decade, where he was pretty much the most hyped prospect in MMA, with a one-punch KO in the 1st round over Dylan Budka. And the debuting Jose Delgado also got a 1st round KO, but his had a little more finesse. He peppered Connor Matthews with spinning back fists and extremely accurate boxing before mounting and finishing the bout via ground and pound. UFC Fight Night 251 is now officially in the books, and I think it was called that because about 251 people actually watched this card. They were the lucky ones though. This event low-key rocked. The news week may have been slow leading up to this event. However, there were a few interesting stories that came through the wire. Strickland has appeared to part ways with Eric Nixick as his head coach in his corner. The former middleweight champion took to social media to share this driver's side confession.
Alright guys, keep tagging me about this whole Eric thing, and goddamn it, because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me. But, you know, man, that entire fight camp was just a struggle. Like, it was a fucking struggle. And, guys, we all have excuses as to why we didn't win or why we won and we shouldn't have won. We all fucking have excuses, and they don't fucking matter. The only reason why I'm making this video is because Eric had to go do a fucking podcast and become an influencer.
But later on in that video, Sean said something quite profound, actually. He talked about opportunity and how more often than not, it never comes when you're ready for it, but you have to take it. To me, that insinuated he wasn't 100% or even 75% heading into the Dricus fight, but he knows that in order to succeed in this world, sometimes you have to show up even on your worst day, with staff and a shitty mustache. But hey, I thought that insight was very applicable to life, as most things Sean Strickland says are in a weird, twisted kind of way. Ilia Topuria made headlines all week after an appearance with Kyle Forgard on the Full Send podcast. Amongst many other great nuggets from this episode, we have a quote here from Ilia regarding what he thinks of the Dagestanis. The German-Spaniard Georgian featherweight champ said, "They lose competitive fights. This is what they try to do, to beat you in the earlier rounds. To feel they can dominate you, that they're stronger than you. This is what they try to do all the time. But when they realize that it's not like that, most of the time they lose that kind of fight. All of them." Okay, so I get what Ilya's trying to say here. I don't think he's saying Dagestanis lose competitive fights per se. Because come on, Islam, Habib, Usman, and Umar have like 2 losses between the 4 of them. What I think Ilia is saying is that Dagestanis have no plan B if they don't completely dominate and control their opponent. To be honest, we haven't seen too much evidence of this, but you can point to some examples like Umar versus Merab, Volk versus Islam 1, or even Hughes versus Usman in the PFL, where Dagestanis have shown bad attitude or a poor body language when they weren't completely executing their game plan to perfection. I think this is applicable to all fighters, quite frankly. If something isn't going your way, you're gonna start to lose. You're gonna start to get pissed. It's as simple as that. But in a nutshell, I think Ilia believes that the Dagestanis are great hammers, but really show their true colors when they're the nail, which is rare, but we have seen glimpses of it. Speaking of little glimpses, check out this disturbing clip from the GOAT, Jon Jones.
On a trip, you get pissed off, disappointed. Another day, you just want to kill
John beat Stipe, now he's talking like him. I couldn't understand a word he said, but it didn't sound good. Why don't you internet sleuths out there decipher what the GOAT said in the comments? And be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more MMA content. Feel free to shoot me a follow as well at TeeBallPaul on Instagram. And I know it'll be hard because one got KO'd last night, but let's at least try to have a great President's Day weekend, everyone. I'm TeeBallPaul signing off from SoCal.